And welcome on in to another edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racings, here from the Concord, North Carolina studios. My name is Chris Wilner, and I'm by myself today. Unfortunately, Kyle Rickey feeling a little bit ill. He's going to sit this one out. Kyle, we're thinking about you. Hopefully, you're doing well back in Killingly, Connecticut. So I'm going to drive the ship all by myself, but I promise you it's going to be a great episode. We've got not one, but two guests coming up here on this episode. We've got William Sawalich, the late model phenom, the 15-year-old coming up through the ranks, picked up his first ever super late model win as part of the Southern Super Series down at Montgomery. We'll visit with him, get to know William a little bit. And Steve Post of the Motor Racing Network, our lead pit reporter. He also hosts Crew Call here on Motor Racing Network, as well as Wing Nation, the popular sprint car podcast show. He'll join us because he's also the voice of the Summer Shootout, which has kicked off here a summer's worth of racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway for our legends and bandoleros, the stars, the future stars of NASCAR possibly we could see coming out of this series. So we'll get an update from Steve on what to expect and talk all things short track racing. That's why we're on this show, right? Well, we'll get right to it because Kyle Rickey's not here. So we'll fire off to our Coast to Coast top 7 of the week, which is our top 7 winners of the past weekend in racing. Again, covering all facets of short track NASCAR roots racing across the country. It's hard to pick just 7, but boy, we had some big races this past week to get to it. And it started off with the ARCA Menard Series, that round number 2, the Sioux Chief Showdown Series out at Iowa Speedway. It was a merger between the ARCA East and ARCA Menard's National Series, and boy, it didn't matter for Brandon Jones. Picked up his second career win of the season here in the ARCA Menard Series at Iowa. Had to wait a 3-hour weather delay. And an impressive run, too, at the end to pass Sammy Smith with 18 laps to go, the East Point leader, and set sail for the win. So congratulations to the Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity Series driver on his second career win with the ARCA Menard Series. Again, they had the weekend off, so why not go racing? And why not pick up another checkered flag? Pretty cool stuff. Jake Drew, speaking of ARCA, picked up his second straight back-to-back on the road courses for the ARCA West Series as they visited Sonoma as part of the NASCAR Cup Series weekend out there in wine country. Jake Drew is, again, second career win, second straight win, too, so he's on a hot rod of a roll with that Sunrise Ford number 6. Moving on to number 3 for our Coast to Coast top number 7. It's hard to not talk about a racing series that puts up $1 million. I know it's on the dirt, but Jonathan Davenport picked up a $1 million check this past week as part of the Eldora Million for the super late models on dirt. An excellent race. They battled Mother Nature throughout the week leading into the event. Tony Stewart put on a great show out there at Eldora. Congratulations to Jonathan Davenport. $1 million, that'll go a long way in your racing career for sure. Moving back to the short tracks, our number 4 of our NASCAR Coast to Coast top 7 is William Byron. Again, anytime he teams up with Donnie Wilson in that famed number 24 in the short track world, he puts it in victory lane. His 5th straight win, this time coming at the Money in the Bank at Berlin Raceway up there in Michigan. Jeff Striegel, the GM up there, part of the Motor Racing Network, our lead announcer for the Motor Racing Network, was on hand to watch William Byron pick up the big check of the Money in the Bank. Steve Post, who we will have on the show, was up there. Unfortunately, they did get rained out on Wednesday, so they had to run it on Thursday, but didn't matter for William Byron. He had to hold off Bubba Pollard, who had the car to beat, but he fell off late, and some exchange on Twitter after the Money in the Bank, thinking lap cars maybe have hindered Bubba Pollard, but nevertheless, William Byron got through and got the win. Ty Majeski rounded out the podium. All right, moving on to our Coast to Coast number 5 of our top 7 winners of the week. We'll have him on in the show coming up next. That's William Sawalich, the first Southern Super Series win, his first Super Late Model Series career win as a 15-year-old out there at Montgomery Motor Speedway, a part of the Rumble by the River 125. An excellent race. Again, had to beat the likes of Bubba Pollard and Stephen Nasse. He did so, saving his tires. We'll talk about that coming up next as Stephen Nasse, Jake Garcia rounded out the top 3. Top number 6 of our top 7 winners of the week, Andrew Ranger. How about this? NASCAR Pinty Series back in action at the Quickwick 250 at Autodrome Chaudier out there in Quebec. Mark Antoine Camarade finished it in second spot, DJ Kennington third, LP DeMolian in fourth, and Alex Tagliani round out the top 5. They are off this week, but Pinty's is hot on with action here in 2022, their first full season in a couple years due to COVID. Rounding out our top 7 winners of the week here on Coast to Coast, it is none other than Mr. Josh Berry. Mr. Short Track at Hickory Motor Speedway wins the Jack Ingram Memorial 111 in front of a packed house up there in Hickory, North Carolina. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the Grand Marshal. A fantastic field of cars. Landon Huffman, a part of the top 5 rankings in the National Series, was there. But Josh Berry, again, set sail, beating his teammate at Junior Motorsports, Carson Quappo, who currently leads the Cars Tour late model stock points. So pretty good racing up there. Lane Riggs had a nice rebound up to third after a couple incidents early on in that 111 lapper. But again, Josh Berry, you can't say the name Josh Berry without thinking a winner at Hickory. He does it again. All right, couple shout-outs before we get to our first interview of the show, and it goes to Jimmy Hebert. And Jimmy Hebert got his second career win in the 47th running of the Spring Green 122 at White Mountain. Again, iconic race up there for the American-Canadian Tour Series. The late models up there, and Jimmy Hebert, second career win. He's one of only 5 drivers that have ever had multiple wins in that race. So an iconic race up there, and Jimmy Hebert gets his second. Also, can't miss without saying congratulations to Daniel Suarez, picking up his first ever NASCAR Cup Series win at Sonoma. The 3-time ARCA winner, ARCA graduate, won the Xfinity Series Championship, finally made it to Cup, has had an up-and-down season, or really an up-and-down career in the Cup Series side of things. Many thought he would not get to victory lane, but Daniel put his head down, and the dream came alive this past Sunday. Congratulations, first Mexican-born driver to win a NASCAR Cup Series race. He's locked in the playoffs, as well as his teammate, Ross Chastain. So tip of the cap to Daniel Suarez. Daniel's amigos all over the country and the world were celebrating with him. All right, well, that does it for me blabbering here on NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. Coming up next, we've got our first guest of the show, and it is none other than the Mr. Steve Post. The Postman joins us here on MRN to talk Summer Shootout as that gets underway at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as well as all things short track racing. He's on the other side of the break. We'll be back after this. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. And welcome back on NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. A special guest, not unfamiliar to this studio, is Mr. Steve Post of MRN, lead pit reporter. Whether you host Crew Call, you've got Wing Nation, but now you're the subject of our interview talking about Summer Shootout.
I'm on the wrong side of the set here. I'm used to sitting over there. I don't even know where things are at. You know, it's like I'm going to reach down here to nothing, and you know. So no, it's great to join you. I love Coast to Coast. I love what Kyle and you were doing with it, and always fun to get on here and talk short track racing. You know, it's good stuff.
It is, and it's hard to believe 25 seasons of the Shootout for you kicked off on Monday. Can you believe that?
No, it's been amazing. 1998, I'd moved to North Carolina. I'd done some announcing and stuff in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
I moved to North Carolina, got a job doing PR, and it was actually 97. The agency that I worked for, one of the ladies who worked there, her husband oversaw the Legends program. So in 97, the fall, they had the Legends Nationals out there. And so I just kind of filled in and did some PA work. And somebody apparently liked what they heard. And so in 1998, I was hired to be part of the announce team. And so here we are, 25th season. And the thing that's been so weird about it is it's evolved and changed from a fan event. We were pay-per-view. We've been on Fox Sports South. We've been voiceover later on. I spent 2 years driving to Atlanta to do voiceovers for it. The last 2 years, we've been pay-per-view only, no grandstand. So, Chris, it's been like every year. It's 25 years, but it's been something different, it seems like, every year.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, that was my first introduction to racing down here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. When I moved in 2019, went to my first Summer Shootout race, heard you over the PA.
Yeah.
I said, man, this is cool. For you, what is the biggest joy you get after watching a lot of these young kids? I mean, you've watched some of the biggest names in NASCAR compete as little kids.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching the kids race and then watching them grow. And the thing of it is that we've seen some of them. I was talking about this last night. You know, champions that we've had. Joey Logano was a Bandolero Bandits champion. Those are the 8 to 11-year-old kids. Right. Joey Logano was a Bandits champion. Daniel Hemrick, a 3-time champion in the Pro Division. Austin Hill's a former champion out there. Sam Mayer is a champion out there as well. So it's fun to watch those drivers that we see and that we follow along. And then we get to the big track, and I'm no longer Mr. Post. That's one thing that we have to work through. I'm no longer Mr. Post when we get to the big track. So I'm Steve or Postman or whatever you want to call me. I do that. But I think the other thing is where some of these other drivers have gone. Ryan Glensky is a kid that has not made it to NASCAR Cup Series, but him and his dad, they race weekly at Florence Motor Speedway, one of our NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts tracks that's on Flow Racing every week. Ryan, I go down there and I see him down there. Him and his dad just racing late model stock cars. Carson Ferguson is a kid that had a lot of success there, and he's starting to really get his footing in the dirt late model world. So it's fun to watch him evolve. And we talk about the ones that the Joey Logano's,
Sure.
the ones that make it to the top of the Cup world. Ryan Blaney raced with us. I tried to do the nickname. We had the Buckeye Bullet.
Yep.
I tried with the Buckeye BB.
You didn't like that one?
Nobody did. Nobody did. One person liked it. I'm the only one who liked it. But I think that's been the fun, whether they're the ones we know or following along with ones now, like
Sure.
Carson Ferguson, watching him race dirt late models when I go to Cherokee or something like that. It's fun to watch. It's really been neat to see these kids evolve into grown racers and champions now, too.
And it's a summer-long event. Kind of give fans an idea what the format looks like, because obviously we have different races every night of the week, but these are some of the best races we see out there out of some of these youngsters.
Yeah, it's on the little quarter-mile track on the front stretch of Charlotte Motor Speedway, so it connects pit road in the front stretch, and they've dug that out. It's been that way forever. It's been that way for, I think, this is the 29th year of the shootout, and they race around there, and we'll just do qualifying, and then we'll do feature events, and there's an inversion for some of the divisions. We have 7 divisions of cars out there. The Bandoleros, 3 divisions, beginner bandits. 8 to 11-year-old new kids. The bandits, those are the 8 to 11-year-olds with much more experience, which is ironic. I don't even say it. And then the outlaws, they are the ones 12 and older. Those are the bandolero divisions. And then when we get to the Legends cars, we have the Young Lions, that's 12 to 15. Semi-pro is kind of that. If you're not a young lion and you're not a pro, you're a semi-pro driver. The pro division, and then the crazy old men, the masters division. Those are the guys 40 and older that are not going to be the next NASCAR stars, although Jeff Green and David Green race with us out there some. And so we have some former NASCAR racers that come back. David's a former champion in the Xfinity Series. So it's really, really neat. It's a good mix. So we run feature events for them, and then we usually do a special throughout the night. We opened it up this past week, Monday night, with Mascot Madness, where we had all the local Charlotte mascots. Sir Purr, representing your Carolina Panthers, won over Lugnut, the track mascot. And then
he had home field advantage.
Home field advantage, Lugnut. Sir Purr went around the outside too. Wow. Drove right around the outside. Oh, it was humiliating for the world's fastest mascot was second. And then Tuesday night we had principal back to school night, and so the principals were out there in school bus races. And so we have school bus races going around there. So every week they try to do a different theme. We have fireworks coming up the 4th of July week. There's another school bus race, the Faster Pastor race.
Yeah.
Oh, you get the pastors out there. They get cussing and swearing at each other.
White knuckle, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just fun. We usually start the night off. Opening ceremonies, we try to hit right around 6:15. So we try to hit that. It's on Flow Racing as well. We try to hit 6:15 with opening ceremonies and get that special race so that, families that are there to see their pastor, there to see the principal or whatever it is, they can get in and out, and we're not delaying them. And then we roll right through the racing program, and it's really neat. It's fun. The interactive part of it with the fans, we do everything from the chicken dance to all kinds of games and slinging T-shirts in the crowd. So it's family fun, very affordable family fun.
And you mentioned Flow Racing, and we talked with some of our short track regulars about the impact that it's had. How's it been for you guys? I mean, this is a big audience now we get to bring this event to.
Yeah, I've been interested to see what it's been like this week, and it's been fun to see some of my sprint car buddies in between. The sprint car world right now is all ate up with Ohio Speed Week.
Sure.
So, but in between, they'll jump over and see what it looks like. And I suspect as the sprint car calendar evens out, I'll see some more people, but a lot of feedback on social media with it. What Flow has done is absolutely amazing. The impact has been so neat for these young racers to see them get the attention. You want to see this kid race, just tune on to Flow, or you and I do a lot of work at Millbridge. Dirt Vision is the partner over there. Yep. These pay-per-view services, they do such a great job. And so this year, the Summer Shootout, I guess it's tied loosely in with the NASCAR weekly racing series, and so Summer Shootout is over there on Flow, as is Florence and Jennerstown and Alaska Raceway Park and all those places.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know, it is cool. So it's part of that, and it's really been neat to see. The Flow element has been fun. It really has been, and it will take this thing to the next level as far as as far as attention, and face it, a lot of these young kids, they're racing for that, to try to get the attention, to try to be noticed. And so I think it's really good.
Absolutely, and hopefully some of these names will become household names. Are there any that have stuck out to you as you've kind of done your prep work and started on with the week that we could kind of pay our attention to?
Yeah, we've got a couple that are really, really doing well that I'm really impressed with. There's a kid by the name of Jordan Black, and he's been around for a little while, but he won our opening night back on Monday night, and I think he is really, really good. There's a kid named Justice Calabro. He's from Hollywood, California. He's got longer hair than I do.
I was about to say, he's in the competition with best hair.
Yeah, he's got
here.
longer hair than I do. He's just kind of, him and his dad, let me see, his dad was the guitarist for Bret Michael, Skid Row, of Skid Row. And now his dad has been able to do television audio production from Concord. So his dad and his family moved over here so Justice can race. And so he's doing good. He moved to the pro division. There's another kid. He's part of the Coca-Cola e-racing series, Garrett Lowe, from over in Gastonia. He's doing some of the e-racing. See, and this is what I love the stories with this, Chris. Okay, Garrett, and I've gotten to know his dad, Rodney, just a little bit. Rodney's like, Garrett comes to him and wants to race. And it's like, race? Where did this come from? Sort of like Rajah Caruth.
Yeah.
Just like Rajah Caruth.
I was about to say.
How in the world did this happen?
Right.
So Rodney's like, I'm not buying you all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? Rodney looks around. He buys Garrett a 1-year membership to the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte. And he says to Garrett, if you go there and race and you want to do it, then we'll worry about the next step. But you got 1 year. So Garrett was over there at the Hall of Fame just wearing out the simulators, wearing out everybody at the simulators.
I'm pretty sure I rubbed elbows with him at some point.
Exactly, wearing them out, and his dad gets, because that's the challenge with it with kids. Okay, I know. It's like, I want to do soccer this year, I want to do softball this year, I want to do this. Well, you got a $10,000 bandolero sitting there in the backyard because the kid decided to play soccer.
Right.
I mean, so that's what Rodney was doing, and this kid is really rolling, really doing well. He's doing well. There's another kid, a little younger, Lucas Vera. He is in our Young Lions division, 12 to 15. He's really good. His dad's a restaurateur here in the area, does some great Mexican food. Jaden Daniels picked up the win on opening night. She's really, really good as well. She just graduated from high school, I think Hickory Ridge over in Harrisburg. So, and I could just go on and on.
Sure. Oh gosh, yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So you pick one, and we'll see who is the next Austin Hill or Joey Logano or Sam Mayer. We'll see which one navigates the way it is, but it's a great step on that ladder for sure.
And there's so much crossover too. We were just talking about before we had you on about some of the dirt drivers we see at Millbridge on a weekly basis now hopping on the pavement side, like Trevor Klein. Trevor
Klein is doing it. Ryan Zima is racing over there as well. Carson Brown from up in the state of Maine. He lives in North Carolina now. And so I think that's really, really neat. We live in a world now where I think we lived in a time where it used to be you had to do one or the other. And now, particularly with the 600 micros taking over on Wednesday night at Millbridge, these kids can come and run Monday nights, Tuesday nights in the Legends cars, Wednesday night out at Millbridge, and then they can take their micro or their Legend car wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do with it. And then they can roll on and get some dirt and asphalt experience. One I forgot. The one that I actually am most high on is Landon Lewis.
There we go.
Landon Lewis. And what he did, he went out to Sonoma. He was filling in for Carson Hocevar in the ARCA West race and darn near won that race.
That's right.
And he got wadded up. He got wadded up at the end. He was likely going to be second to Jake Drew. But he was, and he won one of the dirt ARCA races last year. But Landon Lewis's story is he's from Ocean Isle Beach here in North Carolina, which is way out on the coast. He's tied in with Ron Hornaday. So he's in the Hornaday development program. And they've decided they're doing some more ARCA races, but he is really focused on this Legends thing. But he's not just focused on asphalt. Last year, he was the dirt national champion, or the nationals champion in dirt, the big event at the end of the year. He was the road course nationals champion. And when I looked at his stats from this year, he's got wins on road courses. He's got wins on dirt tracks. He's got wins on asphalt. I saw him win at Florence during Darlington weekend down there. I think that's the beauty of it. But back to your point about the crossover, there's so many people, so many of these young kids. Tony Stevens, my partner, one of the kids, runs the Carolina Pro Late Model Series. And so it's really neat to see him get all this diverse experience, which is going to help him. Because look at the NASCAR schedule now. It used to be the NASCAR schedule was 38 oval races or 36 oval races, Watkins Glen and Sonoma. Sure. Now 7 road courses, dirt tracks, and we're going to see more of that. And these kids like a Landon Lewis who are getting all of this experience on everything are just going to be better positioned to try to climb that ladder. It's a tough climb. It really is, but I
Oh,
think they're
my
better
goodness.
positioned to do it.
Absolutely. And the reason why, folks, Steve knows all this about everybody is because he's not just our
Yeah.
lead pit reporter on MRN. You are a big proponent of short track racing no matter
Yeah.
what. We look at your Twitter, and every week I'm going here, here, here. Sprint car race, short
Yeah.
track race, doesn't matter. Why is it so important for you to promote and be a part of that community?
Well, I grew up on the short tracks, and the short tracks are so special to me. I have huge, huge, huge respect for guys that race for millions of dollars on Sunday. I have huger respect for guys that spend thousands of dollars to race on Saturday night. I love racers who race, and a lot of them started with that dream, and that dream failed. A lot of them went away by the wayside at that point, but the ones that didn't go by the wayside, like I talk about Ryan Glenski. Okay, the dream didn't work. He didn't make it to NASCAR, and he's still racing late model stocks down at Florence Motor Speedway. Those are the guys I like. Those are the guys that I really like. So I love these kids, these people coming along by. And I've not really talked about this much. Quietly, I've just gone to launch my own little website, Postman 68.
Yeah.
And it's kind of to highlight some of the races. Right now, it's just kind of a diary of where I'm going and what I'm doing. But I've got some vision with that I want to do on the short track side. I love short track racing. I think the roots, I love the idea that it's called roots because a tree needs roots to survive.
Correct.
And I just think the roots of the sport coming up through the grassroots, whether it's Summer Shootout, whether it's the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series tracks, whether it's Millbridge, wherever it's at, your local Saturday night track, I think the roots have to be strong. And I think we've seen a resurgence of the roots because of guys like Kyle Larson, Josh Berry, Christopher Bell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the list goes on and on and on. You can't go to races without Justin Allgaier running a modified. Saw Matt Crafton running a modified out in St. Louis. I just think that the roots are so important to this sport, and I'm just in my own little world. I'm going to be a champion of it. And besides, the option of sitting in a Hampton Inn or a hotel room or going out to these local tracks, so it's really cool.
Absolutely. Like when we were in Gateway, he went out to the dirt track, 3 straight nights?
Yeah, went out. We were out 2 nights.
Yeah.
The first night we got there early, but yeah, I went to Tri-City and watched the World of Outlaw late models, which was great, fantastic, really, really cool. Hannah Newhouse, former host of the show, she's doing work there with that. And then Saturday night, you want to talk about the roots. St. Francis County Raceway, Farmington, Missouri. This is it's beyond the middle of nowhere, and they run 410 sprint cars on a Saturday night out in the middle of nowhere, and street stocks and bombers and E-mods and vintage cars were there that night. And I sat there and I had a hot dog, I had a soda, and I had a bag of popcorn, and I watched the cars go around in a circle and thought, what a cool spot to be at. So I love it all, I really do. So it's really neat.
Do you have a tally of how many racetracks you've been to, or are you working on that?
Yes, the tally is 229. Berlin last week would have been 230, but I got rained out at Berlin. I got rained out with the Money in the Bank race at
Do you
Berlin,
get a
so it doesn't count.
half count because you were there?
Got to see a race. I got to see.
Okay.
Well, so I'll have to go back again. But I think that's the other thing about it is, I talked about Farmington, Missouri, and this is a real grassroots local dirt track. Then last week I was up at Berlin. Wow, state of the art asphalt track. I mean, this is a track that is rocketing in a great direction. I mean, really, really cool. The ARCA Menard Series is there this weekend as well. But I just think that I love seeing the little dirt track that's content being a little Saturday night community dirt track, and then the tracks like Berlin that they're content with who they are, but they want to be the best short track in the world. They won the Advanced Auto Parts support, the track support thing, the $50,000 last year. Jennerstown won it this year, and Jeff Striegel, our lead announcer, is the general manager up there. But what they invested back into it, this is a place that could host a Truck Series race with very little changes needed to be made. That's what I love to see also. So I love it all.
So cool, so cool. All right, well, since we have you on the show, we talked to our drivers about kind of where the state of short track racing is.
Yeah.
As an announcer or as somebody who just enjoys short track racing, where do you think we're at right now? If you look at the car counts we've had, the purses that we get put up, I mean, heck, we just had $1 million for dirt late models.
Gosh.
Unreal. Where do you see short track racing at right now?
I'm cautiously optimistic. There's so much good, and we're focusing on so much good. The World of Outlaws sprint cars, they can't sneeze without paying $20,000 to win now.
Yeah.
The World of Outlaws, the late model world, they can't sneeze without paying $50,000 to win now. So the late model, where it's good and where it's big, it's really good. The asphalt side, similarly, where it's good and where it's big. Berlin got rained out on Wednesday night. I wasn't able to stay till Thursday. They had a spectacular show on Thursday night. William Byron picked up the win.
Yep.
Again, that crossover, really, really good. Where it's good, it's really, really good. In fact, it's great where it's good. There are still some tracks that are lagging behind. There's still some tracks worried about car counts. There's still some tracks that are just struggling a little bit. And I worry a little bit about those. I worry. It got personal this year. 5 Mile Point Speedway in Binghamton, New York. Weekly dirt modified racings where I grew up as a kid. It's been there since 1950. Has been sold. And it's not going to be a racetrack next year. So I'm going up in a few weeks to say goodbye to my home racetrack.
Wow.
So in complete honesty, 5 Mile Point's been struggling the last 10 years. It's not been pretty up there. And so I think overall it's good and it's healthy. And you can find a lot of examples of really, really good in the short track world. But there are still some that are lagging behind. I don't know what the answer is, but there are still some that are lagging behind a little bit. And hopefully we can raise them all up and have them be solid as well.
I'm all for it. All right, before we let you go, this week coming up, any special events with our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday program out at Charlotte?
All right, here we go. So I'm trying to think what they told me. They tell me this stuff and I don't remember it. I don't remember
there's
it.
something.
So no, there's something going on.
Yes.
I'll as soon as I walk out of the studio, I'll think about it.
That's right.
But it is it's great Tuesday night. This coming week Tuesday night we have. Oh my gosh! Now I'm gonna. You know what? I think it's a TBD because I think they had to juggle something around.
Okay.
I think there's a reason I'm not remembering it. I'll blame somebody else.
TBD. That's our. Hey, it's gonna be good.
Follow our social channels, and then I'm excited this week because I'm off with MRN to Knoxville for the truck race. Oh, you kidding me? I'm going to the.
It was the Iowa Beer Bus.
Yes, the Iowa Beer Bus, the Iowa Cattleman Stand for a tenderloin sandwich.
Nothing gets you ready for a broadcast than
pork tenderloin. Yeah. Oh my gosh! So it's always good. It's always good where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, safe travels to you. Thanks so much for coming on in, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Chris, always great to hang out with you. It was fun hanging out in St. Louis doing the races with you. We did Talladega earlier this year. Always fun doing it. And I love, as I mentioned at the top, I love what you and Kyle are doing coast to coast. That's where a lot of my passion is, whether it's the NASCAR Roots program or really any short track route. So I love it. And kind of cool to be here. I'm just getting comfortable on this side. Maybe I'll have Aaron and Ashley.
Doing a heck of a job. Yeah, you should roll over.
Ashley and Todd Gordon just take over, and I'll just roll in here and answer questions. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe they shouldn't have done this. Maybe they shouldn't have done this to me. I like this.
It's like the drivers only broadcast. On TV, they should have Steve sit over here and just be the subject.
Just sit here and take notes and heckle. That's what I'll do. Heckle.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Wilder, you're a bum. Yeah.
Glad we didn't. Oh, we saved the best for last. Steve, I appreciate it. Steve Post, everybody, Motor Racing Network. We'll be back on Coast to Coast after this. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. And joining me now via Zoom here on NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the big winner with the Southern Super Series at Montgomery, his first career victory. It is the driver, the number 24, Donnie Wilson. Late model, and that is William Sawalich. William, congratulations, my friend. Young up-and-coming star here in the late model series across the country. I'd have to say this has to be your biggest win yet of your career. How would you summarize this past Saturday out there at Montgomery?
It was definitely a good weekend. Strong in practice Friday and strong in Saturday's practice as well. And we qualified fifth, but we redrew to the first spot. And we kind of controlled the race and took care of my tires, and just ended up being a really good weekend for all of us.
What's it like for you at such a young age? I believe, you're still 15 years old, and you're competing against the likes of some of the big stars in short track racing, and then to win a big event like the Rumble Down by the River 125. I mean, what does it mean to you at such a young age to go toe-to-toe with some of these guys?
It's really amazing to showcase some of my skills and also learn from everybody else that has all that experience, like Augie Grill, Stephen Nassy, and Bubba Pollard. And I can take all that experience that they have and learn from them and take it to all my other races.
This race that you just won at, it had a little bit of a strategy behind the wheel. We saw Bubba Pollard, who was pretty dominant, fall off. Stephen Nassy fall off. How were you able to capitalize? What were you doing behind the wheel over the course of that 125 lapper to make sure that you were there at the end and you were the strongest car right there at the end?
Yeah, just pretty simple. Just take care of my tires. I beat up my right front a little bit too much, but I think my strong point was exits off the corner And I think that's a really big advantage there to have all that straightaway speed. And yeah, we were just there for the end and ended up winning.
Is there any pressure? We talk about pressure with young drivers running for big teams, but Donnie Wilson's no secret. Anybody who hops behind the wheel of that 24 pretty much is going to win, and it has so far with William Byron racking off 5 in a row. You just got your first. Do you find any pressure when you go behind the wheel of his car as compared to maybe some of your pro late model and late model stock stuff?
No, I think I just look at it as a learning experience because they have really good cars, and I can see how I am and not have to worry about the car. But yeah, I think it's just a good learning experience, and I can take all that to also my late model stock races and my pro late model races.
Talk a little bit about your career. A lot of people maybe just getting to know your name and kind of what you've been able to do behind the wheel of a race car, but you're from up in Minnesota, right? First generation racer. How the heck do you get involved in racing way up there where it's pretty much cold almost all the time?
Yeah, so I've always had an interest in cars, and I started out racing quarter midgets when I was 9 at Little Elko Speedway, and then I moved to Legend Cars, and I did that for 2 years. I also raced at Elko in the Legends and some races in Wisconsin, and then my first late model experiences were in a pro late model with Dennis and Brandon Setzer, and then I just recently started up in late model stocks and supers.
Awesome. And you just mentioned Dennis Setzer and his development program. How big was that for you developing your early career? Because, I myself was a quarter midget racer. I totally understand kind of that progression. But when you get somebody like Dennis in your corner, what's the biggest thing you learn from him as you take the next step?
Yeah, no, he definitely has a lot of experience, and he's a great late model stock driver. So he helps me with that a lot, and also Brandon. He has given me some tips in the super. I ran a race for him in his super late model at Tri-County, ended up getting the pole. So definitely they know what they're doing there, and just very glad to be with them.
Running a lot down south, what kind of challenges does that prove to you being from up north in Minnesota, constantly running down here in this region of the country? Obviously, this is a big hotbed for short track racing, but what kind of challenges does it have for you? Obviously, as 15-year-old still in school, how are you able to balance it all?
Yeah, so I do online school, so I can travel and kind of go at my own pace. But school is still a priority for me, and school is number one, as my mom would say. So
Yes, and you
yeah,
should agree with her too. You at least play along with that.
yeah, yeah. So that just helps me do what I love, racing, and it's great to be down here in the heart of racing.
Absolutely, and I know you just mentioned you have the pro late model stocks as well. TA2 in the Trans Am. I mean, and then I think you been down to Millbridge yet running a micro?
Yep, yeah, it's pretty new.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about the decision to do all that kind of racing, different styles of racing, different cars. I mean, what's the benefit for you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits I notice, and some that I don't notice that I'd pick up naturally from them. At Millbridge and the micro, I kind of get used to being sideways and out of my comfort zone, and kind of feeling the right rear of a car, and I can take that to any car I go to. And also the road racing, the TA2 car, I can take that to, like, I want to go to Cup, so I can take that there, and they're just starting doing a lot of road course racing, so I think that'll be pretty handy to know all those skills.
Who's someone that you kind of looked up to as you started racing? Maybe a driver or somebody that's either personally offered you advice or somebody you just looked up to that's made that, all the way jump up to Cup and kind of where you want to be in your career. So who's somebody you kind of idolized after?
So I was a big Jeff Gordon fan when I was little. I used to go to races and cheer him on. But there's also a lot of short track drivers that have given me some good advice, and kind of wanted to be like them in my short track days, and eventually move up to Cup.
So what's the rest of the schedule look like, at least the next couple months for you? Are we kind of splitting time with the super late model, hitting some different races? I don't know how many races you have planned yet with Donnie in that 24. So what's kind of your schedule looking like the next few weeks?
Yeah, I've still got, I think, 17 more races with Donnie in the super. We're going to hit all the big races, and then I'll also be finishing up the Cars Tour Pro Late Model schedule, and also doing some late model stock races whenever I can, and then still doing Millbridge whenever I can, and also 2 more TA2 races. So
Wow, so you're gonna be pretty busy this summer. Thank goodness school is off. Do you have what's your travel schedule like? How often are you down here in the South versus back at home, or do you kind of live down here now during the summer?
I pretty much live down here during the summer. I'll go back home a couple times during the summer. Maybe when I'm racing closer up there, I'll take a visit. I'm going to Milwaukee Mile this week, so I'll be back there this week.
Awesome. Well, sounds like a plan. Best of luck to you, William. It was nice meeting you, and congratulations on your first super late model win out there in Montgomery. I know it's not going to be the last.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. That is William Sawalich, the big winner down there at Montgomery here this past weekend. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. And before we get to our Go With The Flow calendar for this week in short track racing, we have to update our NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts weekly national point standings, and nothing's really changed as far as the top 5 is concerned. Peyton Sellers, again, on a red-hot streak, finishing in the podium at top 3 positions, if not winning the last several weeks down there, especially at South Boston. He continues to lead, going for another national championship. Lane Riggs, who had a great rebound there at the Hickory Motor Speedway Jack Ingram Memorial, is in the second spot. Landon Pembleton, Mason Bailey, and Hickory regular Landon Huffman continue to be the top 5 going into this week. We'll see what happens, as things can certainly shake things up as we get through the summer months. Now, speaking of racing, it is time to end the show with our Go With The Flow race segment. Here's what's on the calendar. Some marquee races coming up here this weekend. A lot that you can see on Flow Racing for sure. The ARCA Menards Sioux Chief Showdown race number 3 for the ARCA Menards National Series is back underway. The Zinsser Smart Coast 200 at Berlin. Jeff Striegle's Berlin Motor Speedway. Boy, Berlin has been absolutely busy, whether it was the Money in the Bank, then they had the non-wing sprint cars. Now they're going to have a ARCA Menards Series national race out there up in Michigan. I know Jeff will be tuning in, whether he's there at the racetrack or with the Motor Racing Network. I know he'll be locked in for sure on Flow Racing. Again, that's Saturday at 8 p.m. on Flow Racing. Again, a host of storylines to follow with the ARCA Menards Series, whether it's the points battle between Raja Caruth and Nick Sanchez, both Rev Racing drivers. You have some of the up-and-comers as well. How about Amber Balkin on a top 10 streak as well, trying to climb her way up through the points? Lots to follow as race number 3 of the Sioux Chiefs Showdown Series is part of the ARCA Menards National Series schedule. Again, that's Saturday, 8 o'clock on Flow. The SRX season opener, boy, we've talked about it all season long on NASCAR Coast to Coast. It's finally here, and it's at Five Flag Speedway coming up on Saturday night. CBS Sports Network is the place to watch. The local hero is going to be Bubba Pollard, who, after the Pepperjack Twins 125 combined finishing, won that seat. So we'll see Bubba if he can show the stars, the SRX series that include Marco Andretti, Paul Tracy, Michael Waltrip, Elio Castroneves, you name it. They're all going to be there racing Bubba Pollard to see who's going to take the first checkered flag of the second season of the SRX Championship. Obviously, Tony Stewart won the title last year. Five Flag Speedway again Saturday, CBS Sports Network. We'll see what Bubba Pollard can do if he can rep the local heroes. NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, the Ground Pounders are back in action after a week off. They've got the Duel at the Dog 200 at Monadnock Speedway. That's Saturday, 8:30 p.m. on Flow Racing. You can catch the live coverage there as well. And again, the Modified's kind of been a little bit different here this year. We've seen the dominance of Matt Hirschman when he's been in the lineup. Haven't seen an entry list just yet here as we record Coast to Coast, but we'll be sure to see if he is in the lineup. Certainly will be one of the favorites. Jimmy Blewett scheduled to be back. I know we talked to Tommy Baldwin Jr. a couple episodes ago about his plans for Jimmy after Jimmy had to step aside to take care of some family matters. We'll see if Jimmy's back. Obviously, Tommy's trying to go for a 4th consecutive win in that 7NY as a car owner, so we'll see what happens with Tommy and the rest of the Ground Pounders in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour as they take on Monadnock Speedway on Saturday night. We talked to Steve Post here earlier on in the show. The Summer Shootout continues on Monday. Some market calendars for that on Flow Racing. Certainly all the up-and-coming stars will be seen at Charlotte Motor Speedway's quarter mile there on the front straightaway with the Legends cars. And obviously we've got a ton of weekly racing coming up for you on Flow Racing, whether it's Berlin. We talked about Hickory. They're back to weekly action. Bowman Gray. How about the fight we had last week in one of the support divisions? Absolutely incredible. Bowman Gray putting on Bowman Gray things here as we hit the summer months. I think the heat may have had something to do with that as well. It was certainly a scorcher out there in Winston-Salem. Plenty going on as well as Meridian, Evergreen, you name it. Catch it all on Flow this weekend. Just get the Flow dial, and you've got their lineup of races that they have. So with that, that's the Go for Flow calendar for this week in racing. Hopefully Kyle Rickey feels better to join me next week. We're thinking of you, bud. Until then, enjoy your weekend of racing, wherever that may be, and we'll recap it all next week. Have a good one. This has been NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing. If you enjoyed this episode of NASCAR Coast to Coast, be sure to subscribe to Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots, where you can catch the Whelen Modified Tour, the ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today.